Hi everybody, my name's Kay. You're watching Amidst the Gray. And today, I'm going to get a little sentimental and talk about my forever decks in a VR to Logan from Larkin Legend. Let's do it. I really had to rein myself in on this one just because, there are so many decks in my library that I just absolutely love and would want to cat and would want to, always have and take with me. And she's jiggling the chair that my phone is. Thank you. I just realized I left my tea in the kitchen. I'm going to go get my tea and then we'll get started. Be right back. Okay, tea acquired. I can move on now. Technically it's actually a tisane because it's herbal and there's no actual tea involved, but it's just so much easier to say tea than tisane, even though I love the way the word tisane sounds. And if you're a fan of Agatha Christie's Poirot, then you will be very familiar with that word, tisane. Oh, so good. This week was rough, not gonna lie. It's just been, I ended up staying home on Monday because I wasn't feeling well again. For context, this is Thursday, the 26th of January. And we actually don't have school tomorrow because we are halfway through our school year. We are on day number 90 out of 180. So tomorrow is our midwinter break and we actually get that day off, which is so lovely. It's needed, not just me, but for so many people. That end of the first semester week is always a bit of a doozy. And also, my son is currently 3 hours away from me doing his MEPS, his military entrance processing. He has to have a physical exam, and he already took his ASVAB, his entrance exam. He took that twice already, once in his junior year and once earlier this year. So he doesn't have to do that while he's there, but he still has to do the physical and undergo all the assessment and fill out paperwork and things. And so he's off doing that. It's always weird when he's gone and like he's not at his grandparents or a friend that we know well, or it's just it's weird. But if he makes it through and all of that, I suppose it's something I better get used to because he's gonna be gone, and it's a bit of a transition phase for me. And so I've been feeling kind of emotional and sappy all week because of that, and just because work and I feel so much better than I did, but I'm still a little bit low on energy, and I'm still even now sitting down not moving, and I'm just talking to my phone. I'm still a bit winded, and I'm not used to that. I have quite a bit of stamina. I'm not a high energy person, but when I go, and you better get out of my way or I might run you over. Pretty sure that's a manifester thing. We just want to take care of business and everybody get out of the way so we can do our thing. This is a very long and rambly intro, and I will be putting timestamps in this video in case nobody wants to listen to me talk about my super sappy week and just wants to get to the decks. I totally understand. But sometimes I just start talking and then I can't stop. And apparently this is one of those occasions. So the way that Logan titled his video cracked me up just because it said, "My forever decks, the ones that they will pull from my cold undead hands," or something to that extent. It made me laugh. And so I thought about it in that context. And I'm also approaching it from kind of, I guess because I'm in a sappy, sentimental mood, I'm approaching it from a sentimental standpoint as well, as far as decks that I've worked extensively with and have formed that attachment to, and I know how it works for me and what maybe I can expect. Not always, but you know, a lot of the time. Yeah, I'm not sure how many I have. There's at least 10. I'll put the number here. I'm not showing these in any particular order. It's just what I'm grabbing off of the random piles that I have constructed and that are currently sitting next to me. So no particular order, and I have not divided tarot and oracle. They're just going to be a mishmash. Actually, I take that back. I am going to show the first one in a particular order just because it was my first divination deck. This is the Hedgewitch Botanical Oracle by Shiloh or Ciolo Thompson. I feel really bad that I don't know how to pronounce her name still correctly, and that I should know that. But she is a Washington State-based artist, which is where I am from, and I recognize a lot of these botanicals. I grew up with them. I see them in my everyday life, and it's just a wonderful deck. The art is amazing. The keywords are fantastic. The guidebook is incredible. And I've said before, it's forever spoiled me for how beautiful a mass market guidebook could be. And I just really like this deck a lot. It's very special. It's very meaningful to me. And it's what set me on a path of reading cards to gain insight and clarity. So, Hedgewitch Botanical. Always keeping, forever deck. Next deck on the pile is a tarot that I really am not going to talk too terribly long about because it's made many appearances on my channel thus far, including the last video I did about working with the court cards. This is the Wayhome Tarot by Bakara Wintner and Autumn Whitehurst. This is an independently published deck. It is still available from quite a few different places. Everyday Magic, I think, is kind of like the home base site for this deck, and that's where I got mine. It's incredible. It's very pippish. It's very elemental, particularly in the courts. And I just adore it with every fiber of my being. Love it so much. This was the deck I worked with all of last year. And I talked about that in my Standout Decks of 2022 video, the VR to Julie. I actually recreated that reading that I did in that video. So you can go check out that video if you want to see it a little bit further. So yeah, Wayhome Tarot is a forever deck. No question. Next deck up is a tarot that I also featured in my Working with Court Cards video, which is the Elemental Power Tarot by Melinda Lee Home. This is a mass market deck. It is widely available, slightly larger than standard tarot size, which I think puts a few people off, but the minors in this deck are extremely pippish. It's upside down. I think it's upside down. And as the name would suggest, it's extremely elemental. There is a complete absence of human figures in this deck. The closest thing to a human figure, I think, is the Buddha statue in the Hierophant card, but other than that, no people or depictions of people of any kind. This deck is very straightforward. The elemental aspect of tarot is a very important component in how I read and interpret the cards, and I just get so much from this deck. One thing I've heard from several people is that the majors, people tend to love these majors, but they hate the minors, and I understand that because pip decks are not for everyone, particularly pips like this that are kind of not in really any logical or, you know, kind of foundational, fundamental order that maybe makes sense. But if you have a heavily numerologically based way of reading, like I do, plus the elements, then you can make it work easily. I love this deck. The symbolism is incredible. And I've mentioned before how I like decks with majors that are symbolic versus depicted with people. I can still read with decks that have the majors depicted as human, but there's something about that symbolic tie-in that is just really powerful to me, because majors are big energy. They're big, major thematic energies that we as humans experience in our life. And there's something about the symbolic aspect of that that's very powerful to me, just if you take away the people and just have the symbolism here. like with here with the Empress. It's just so pretty. The deck is not for everyone, mainly because of the minors, but if you're good with pips and you can kind of get past the configuration and you like the elemental aspect of tarot, this deck is awesome, and it's very affordable. Elemental Power Tarot is a forever deck. Next deck up is an indie oracle that I absolutely love, and that is the Supra Oracle by Usi. I have the Pagan Otherworlds, I have the Materia Prima, and I have the Supra. And I was thinking if I could only keep one of those three, which one would it be? And amazingly, I did not pick the Pagan Otherworlds. I picked this one. This is a deck that's based loosely on Jungian and Gnostic concepts. Kind of in combination. This deck is very powerful for me. This has been one of my most impactful journaling decks as far as the depth of concept and where it kind of takes me. Psychology is a subject that is very near and dear to my heart. I've always been fascinated with the brain as an organ. I've always been fascinated with the mind as a concept. I've always been fascinated with behavior, motivation, what makes people tick. It's just, I just love this deck. It's powerful. And I don't think I would ever want to not have it with me. So yeah, Supra Oracle by Usi. And I do have the companion guidebook that goes with it, and I do particularly for this deck, I found that companion guidebook very, very helpful. So just throwing that out there. Supra Oracle Usi Forever deck. Next deck up is an oracle that I swear I have been gushing about ad nauseum lately, which is the Wisdom of Hafiz Oracle. Let's see if we can not get that glare on, because these are very shiny cards. This is a US Games deck. The creator it's a Daniel Ladinsky, Silas Tobel, Angie Sullins deck, and they also have, that combination has another one that is out that's really similar, that has this this advice-based message. And like, I swear a half a dozen people have told me the name of that deck, and I cannot remember the name. I'll try to remember to put it over here somewhere if I'm ambitious enough to add that much detail to this video. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, this deck has blown me away. I used it a lot in 2022, which is when I got it. I used this deck extensively during Capricorn season, and it really blew me away. I just have nothing but good things to say, really, about this deck. I love it so much. And it's one of the newest decks that I have, but it's never going anywhere, just because it has moved me to the point where I have a lot more work to do with this one. So, yeah, it's a keeper. Let's just bring out another glossy AF cardstock deck, shall we? Let's do this one. Yeah, it's so shiny, but I love this deck so much. This is the Golden Tarot by Liz Dean. This is a Chico publication. Same as the Elemental Power Tarot, except that deck has really, really nice matte cardstock, whereas this is, as you can see, shiny. But I don't care. I love it. I love it. I have to say, though, if they ever did publish it in a matte cardstock, I would probably buy 2 to 3 copies, because if this deck ever went out of print, I would bawl my eyes out. I love this deck so much. According to the guidebook, this deck is a schmishmash of the Visconti Sforza and the RWS. The guidebook interpretations are extremely RWS, even though the minors are very pippish. I love the aces in this deck. One of the things I love the most about this deck is that, like the Elemental Power Tarot, there is a strong elemental aspect to this deck. Like, look at the coins and look at the grass. It's so It's so great. Look at the swords and look at the sky and the clouds and being elevated above ground. Look at all that fire coloring for the wands. So good. I love this deck so much. This deck is a really great, I saw a tag, was it last year? I can't remember who did it, but it was like it was a sharpshooter decks, hard hitters, sharpshooters, something like that. This is definitely a sharpshooter deck for me as far as just getting right there. I almost chose this for my coffee house decks tag for my espresso prompt. I almost chose this one because it can equally hold that energy, but I chose it. Oh, and it's the one I'm going to talk about next. I chose a different one for that one. That's also a forever deck. But this is the Golden Tarot by Liz Dean. Mass market, cheap. This is the cheapest deck I think I have in my library. Or it's, no, I take that back. I paid less for one of my Lenormand, but really reasonably priced. As long as you don't mind the glossy cardstock, you really can't go wrong with this, and you don't mind pip decks. So good. Okay, so the deck that I did choose for my espresso shot in my coffee house decks tag is this one. This is the Ancient Italian Tarot. This is a Lo Scarabeo deck. This is a mashup of Soprafino majors and Avando minors. The minors are a little bit different. This deck is amazing. I've mentioned before how I've never really been drawn to traditional Marseille style artwork, but the Italian decks are... I love this deck card. I have a soft spot in my heart for the old Italian decks. And I love this one just because it's mass market, it's widely available, it's small enough that it can be portable, but it's big enough to where you can see the art really well, and it's just, I love it. I love it. I mentioned before in another video that maybe it was my Coffee House Decks video that I mentioned, if somebody were completely twisting my arm telling me I only could keep one tarot, I said it would probably be this one, and I still stand by that. It's just versatile. If you're a pip deck reader, I love pip decks. Pips are my jam because I read very elementally and numerologically, and if you have that as a foundation, pip decks are fabulous because they're not locked. You can really take your interpretation to a whole other level and layers of levels. I'm going to stop showing cards now because there are lots of walkthroughs of this deck, and I've shown it before, so I won't show anymore. But yeah, Ancient Italian, Lo Scarabeo. Yes. Another deck I've gushed about to the point of ridiculousness probably is this one. This is The Answer is Simple. This is a Hay House publication, and it is at this time out of print. I've mentioned it before, I was flabbergasted when I discovered this was out of print just because it was so readily available. And when the Hay House had sales, this was one they would mark down to $8, and that's how much I paid for this one. I wish I would have known it was going out of print. I would have gotten a backup copy because I love this deck so much. This is another kind of practical advice deck, and it's just... puts you in your place with a hint of sweetness. Love it. Love it. Love it. Oh, and this is by Sonia Choquette. Next deck up is a mass market tarot, and that is the Cosmic Tarot. This is a US Games publication. I have trimmed mine and edged it in a deep navy to kind of blend in with the backs there, and I'm quite fond of how it turned out. I was really hesitant to get this deck initially just because I wasn't sure that it was going to be for me, but there was something about it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I got it, and I wanted to do a career job related spread, and for some reason intuitively I was drawn to use this deck for that spread, and I could not believe that reading that I did. I was floored. And since then, I have used this primarily for anything job related, which doesn't seem like it would be, you know, a fit considering, you know, it's a cosmic tarot, you know, it's sort of, there's an otherworldly kind of galactic aspect to this, but it just works for me for that. It speaks. I love the fluidity. That card's weird to me. But for me, for Three of Swords, it actually kind of works just because of how I read. But there's a fluidity of movement. This deck is a very yang, fiery deck for me, even though it does have a lot of hints of softness. And I love this death card too. Yeah, this deck is awesome. And I actually got the companion book, which is out on my bookshelf. I showed this in my my only 10 mass market decks. I included the book in that video, so you can kind of see what it looks like if you're interested. But yeah, Cosmic Tarot. This is an AGM deck. Mass market. You can get it through US games. Still, it's mass market, still available and reasonably priced. Next deck up is an indie tarot that I used in my That 9 card spread video VR to Meg, Rose Honey Ritual. I used this deck in that video. This is the Darkness of Light. I have, pretty sure this is the 4th edition. It's on the linen cardstock with the black. There was an edition that had white up here on top, or and down here top and bottom. I'm pretty sure that was the 3rd edition, but I have the linen-y cardstock. It doesn't show up that well, but it's a really great texture. This deck is very profound for me for extremely personal readings. That's why I chose it for that 9 card spread video, just because I had a feeling that reading was going to be extremely personal, and of course it was. And this deck just speaks volumes to me for extremely personal, like deep down to the soul personal. This deck works really well for me for that. And I just like it. And I have the companion guidebook for this one as well. Some of them are upside down. Oh, because I did drop it. I dropped this one accidentally. And I was not very precise in putting it back together again. So some of them are upside down. But yeah, this is a great personal readings deck for me. And I love it. And Darkness of Light. Next deck up is a tarot that is a forever deck because it was the very first tarot that I purchased for myself, and it is essentially the one I cut my teeth on as far as learning, and that is the Borderless edition of the Smith-Waite Centennial. This is mass market, widely available. These images are well known, highly recognizable. I've said it before many times that I don't really read with RWS as a whole. It's just not my system. That being said, in 2022, I carried this in my bag for about 3 months because I was really just feeling the need to have it with me, because this deck always takes me back to the beginning of my process when I was first learning tarot, and that was in 2019, and my study really took off in early 2020, which, you know, of course we all know what happened in early 2020. And so emotionally, it's a bit of a comfort blanket. It just reminds me of that time, and, you know, not always good times, but I really dove head first into learning tarot as a system and really working on incorporating my own personal lexicon, if you will, that I had for the cards, and my own sort of style of reading that resonated with me. And it's not this. It's not RWS really as a whole, but I still use it. I use my own base interpretation of, you know, elemental and number, or elemental and court, or even the planetary energies for the majors. I still do work with that, but But then I will, depending on how I feel and in the position that a card is in, I might bring in a bit of the RWS meaning, depending on, again, context is everything, really, you know. But I'm gonna stop showing this deck because we all know what it looks like pretty much. But yeah, a Forever deck because of the sentimentality and the attachment I have to it, because it was the first tarot I bought for myself, and I will always keep it. And that is the Borderless Smith-Waite Centennial Rider-Waite Smith. Let's talk about Claire Mack and how fantastic Claire Mack's work is, and how just incredible. This is the Illuminated Earth Oracle by Claire Mack. Claire Mack is a Washington State-based artist. Actually, she lives not far from me. And I don't know what it is, but oftentimes I find Pacific Northwest creators, and before I even know they're a Pacific Northwest creator, and I'm just drawn to their work. Not always, but a lot of the time. And I think that's interesting. But the Illuminated Earth for me is a big thematic energy oracle. This is like macrocosmic. It's just, it's amazing. I love journaling with this deck a lot. It's profound. It's just so good. But yeah, this is a forever deck. I bought this one and the sister deck, sort of, that I'm going to talk about next. I bought both of them as a birthday present to myself in I think it was 2019. No, it was 2020. I bought both of those together because if I remember correctly, she was having a bit of a sale, and if you bought both, you got a discount, and I had intended to buy both anyway, so I just went ahead and did it. Which brings me to the sister deck, which is the Faceted Garden, also by Claire Mack. Oh, and by the way, can we just all squeal and rejoice that Claire Mack is making a tarot deck? I don't know how I missed that memo, but for some reason I just didn't know, and I saw it randomly floating around on the social medias. I saw a photo of the Ace of Cups and the Hermit, and I fangirl screamed because I had no idea she was making a tarot. Because I don't do the Instagrams or really the Facebooks. I have a Facebook profile, but I pretty much only use it for a handful of groups and for Marketplace. I really don't use it for anything else. But the social medias as a whole, it's just not my jam. And so I just didn't know. But I don't know how I'm not subscribed to her newsletter. Maybe she put it out in a newsletter. If she did, let me know, because I think maybe I need to go subscribe to her newsletter. But anyway, I'm gushing on about a deck that's not even made while I'm showing you this one. But this to me is kind of the microcosm, whereas the Illuminated Earth is like the macrocosm. Again, really profound journaling deck. And journaling with the combo, one from each deck. Really good. Like it. Yeah, I like it. It's good. I love the seasonal cards in this deck. There's one for each season, and they're so pretty. I love them. I love both of them. Yeah, so the Illuminated Earth and the Faceted Garden Oracles are very much forever decks for me. And last but not least, the Oracle that is a cheeky little booger and kind of weaseled its way into a forever place in my collection. And I had already kind of grown an attachment to this one because of events that occurred last year. But yeah, this time though, it was for real. And that is the Vintage Wisdom Oracle by Victoria Mosley. It's a US Games deck. And I hate to say this is a forever deck because of one card, but it kind of is. Well, a couple, but the most recent one, if you watch me semi-regularly, you might recognize this card. This is the Patience card. This was my anchor card for Capricorn season, and oh boy, howdy was it for real. In my my year ahead reading part 2, Lessons from Saturn, I went into this a little bit more. And yeah, it's profound. It taught me, I got a lot of lessons handed to me at the beginning of this year through this card. And yeah, it's gorgeous. This was also in my coffee house decks for one of the prompts. A handful of these were. My answer is simple also. And my RWS. There's a handful that made it into that tag. The more I work with, I'm going to do a video on how I work with Oracle, because how I work with Oracle is, I think, a bit different than a lot of other practitioners might do it. Because one of the trends I've noticed that's been a thing for a while is pairings. Pairing tarot and Oracle, like deliberately for aesthetic reasons or for energetic reasons or for whatever. And I don't do that really, like, at all. Maybe on occasion if I feel the need to pull an anchor card for a reading, I might, but as a whole, I stopped showing you cards, I'm sorry. But as a whole, I don't pair my tarot and Oracle. I tend to pair tarot with tarot and Oracle with Oracle a bit more than the other way around. And oftentimes, I don't choose based on aesthetics. Maybe I'll do a video about how I choose my decks because I have a few different ways that I do it, and it's all depending on how I feel at the time. But most of the time, it's very quick and intuitive, and I don't put a whole lot of thought into it at all. And I have found in my experience that that approach has been the most profound for me, because otherwise it's just one more thing to overthink, and I am an overthinker to the nth degree anyway, and so I just don't want to overthink this at all. That card as well last year was a thing for me. Big time, big time, big time. So this card and that patience card, oh my gosh. Oh wait, not last year, 2021. I still think it's 2022 half the time. I've been like, I haven't messed up my year. Like when I'm writing the date, I haven't messed up once, but in my noggin, I'm still thinking, oh, we're in 2022. No, we're not. I'll get there. Maybe. But yeah, this one has earned its place with me. So yeah, Vintage Wisdom Oracle, Victoria Mosley, US Games, mass market, widely available. I totally went off on a tangent about pairing decks, or how rather I don't pair them, and I forgot to talk about where I was going with that. I have a thing, the more I work with Oracle, these simple keywords, decks like this have become profound for me just because of how I work a lot of the time with Oracle. And they're so versatile. I appreciate decks that have like kind of more complex themes. For example, like the Sacred Rebels, and another one I can think of is, I don't have it, but the Lantern Oracle, that's another one that's a little bit more, it kind of makes you stop and think a little bit, you know, about what's in front of you, versus where this is just, you get a keyword and then you can bounce off that whatever way you will. But yeah. And that's another thing I like about the Hedgewitch Botanical too. In fact, that's the whole reason I got that deck in the first place, just because I wanted a theme that I resonated with, and I wanted a simple keyword on each card. That was why because I wanted to get back into journaling like heavy, and I wanted to incorporate cards. And I knew I wanted the theme that resonated and the simple keyword. And so that's why I got that deck mainly to begin with. But then the more I use decks like this with the simple keyword, the more profound I find them to be. So So yeah, vintage wisdom. Forever deck. This was a good tag. Logan does good tags. His other one, his deck reconnects. Logan has a tendency, at least for me, to create these tags that make you just stop whatever you're doing and be like, I'm gonna film an intro for this tag, and then do the thing, you know, whenever I get home or get a moment. So thank you, Logan, for creating such great tags, and I liked this one. And like I've said before, I always like tags like this because they're great exercises for assessing where you are in your practice and what's meaningful for you at that time. So I always appreciate that, and you know, chances to really kind of deeply and meaningfully look at that as far as where I am inside and with my library and my tools. So the next video that I kind of had tentatively scheduled, I'm hoping to have out maybe Sunday. That would be January 29th. That will depend on other things I have going on, but I have that intro filmed and I have kind of a map of the content already finished, so I just need to film the bulk of it. I've had a lot of people tell me they're really looking forward to my working with the court cards, the Knights, because that's the one that's coming next, that they're looking forward to that one, and I'm so happy that my pages video has been pretty well received, and I'm so happy and pleased that that's the case, and I'm happy that it's helping people and inspiring people. That was kind of my main motivation to put that content out there. So the Knights video will be coming soon, and I will be using the same decks that I use for the pages video. I did decide that, so yeah, that's up and coming too. Okay, I'm gonna go now, and I'm gonna finish my tea and pet my cat because she's on my bed staring at me with disdain because I'm ignoring her. so I guess I need to go give her a little attention. So, okay, until my next video, take care. Be well.